Pray that I return alive." These were exactly the words of Samia Shahid as she left for Pakistan to visit her ailing father. Does a woman have the right to control her own life? Or is family honor and reputation more valuable than anything else in the world? Samia Shahid was born on November 15, 1987, in Bradford, West Yorkshire, United Kingdom. Bradford is the sixth largest city in England, with an ethnically diverse population. Many members of the South Asian community have made their home there. It was there that a large family of Pakistani origin by the surname Shahid lived. Samia's parents, her father Chaudhry Muhammad and her mother Imtiaz, moved to the United Kingdom from a small village called Pandari in Pakistan. Like many others, they sought better opportunities for themselves and their family in the UK. Samia had a sister named Meeta. The girls grew up in Bradford under the influence of a blend of British and Pakistani culture. Being second-generation immigrants, they oscillated between these two cultural worlds, balancing the values and traditions of their Pakistani heritage and adapting to the realities of a Western country like the United Kingdom. The Shahid family and their relatives were quite well known in Bradford due to the number of businesses they ran. The parents themselves owned a limousine and car rental business. One uncle ran a fish and chip shop, and another uncle owned a flower shop. Imtiaz had 5 brothers, all well known locally. So Samia had many cousins, nephews, and nieces, and she adored her large family. Samia was a very friendly, cheerful, and lively girl, always smiling. Above all, she loved her father and was a daddy's girl. Chaudhry Muhammad's word was law to her. She was ready to do anything for him, whatever he asked, and her father reciprocated that love. Although Samia and Meeta were given the opportunity to receive a Western education, given that they lived in the UK, the Shahid family valued Pakistani culture and remained devoted to their Muslim faith. They were Sunni Muslims. Sunni Islam is one of the 2 main branches of Islam, along with Shia Islam. The majority of Muslims identify as Sunni. So the Shahid family adhered to certain rules. Although Samia loved driving fast, she was not allowed to drive. She would rent a car and drive recklessly, pressing the gas pedal without thinking. She liked to take care of her appearance, apply makeup, and style her hair. Samia worked part-time at the Bradford post office, though her father actually financed her, sparing no expense for his beloved daughter's wishes. Samia got almost everything she wanted. Friends, over 90% of viewers watch videos without subscribing to the channel. Check if you're subscribed. If not, please be so kind as to subscribe to the channel to support me. Her sister Meeta had somewhat different views on life, but despite their differences, the sisters' primary and undeniable value was family. In Pakistani culture, family always came first, family above all. And although Samia seemed to get everything she wanted, her family's approval was most important to her. Whatever decision she had to make, it first had to be agreed upon with her parents and elder family members. Samia loved them deeply and didn't want to upset them, so she could never be truly open with them. She had to keep many things secret to avoid her father's anger. For example, the car races. In 2012, when Samia turned 25, her parents decided it was time for her to grow up. The free life in Western society had to end sooner or later. Her mother insisted that she should go to Pakistan to get married according to traditions. Arranged marriages are still quite common, and although Sunni Islamic faith does not strictly require it, it is still encouraged. It was no surprise when Samia's parents approached her with a proposal to marry a specific man. She agreed not because she wanted to, but because she felt it was important for her family. She took her culture and heritage seriously and did not want to disappoint her parents. Samia wanted her family to be proud of her, so in February 2012, it was decided she would marry a man named Chaudhry Muhammad Shakil. Shakil was not the person Samia would have chosen as her spouse. He was from their village Pandari in Pakistan and was Samia's cousin. She had known him since childhood and always regarded him as a brother, not a future husband. Moreover, he had just been released from prison for shooting another man over a land dispute. Marrying distant relatives among British Pakistanis is mainly to keep land ownership within the family, thereby expanding family estates. Her parents were also cousins who had an arranged marriage and made their marriage happy. To prepare for the wedding, Samia was taken to various Pakistani shops to buy whatever she wanted: magnificent outfits, fashionable jewelry, and matching accessories. Her father, Muhammad, paid for all of it. Samia shopped with interest and tried to get excited about planning the upcoming wedding. But deep down, she knew that money couldn't buy happiness. She wasn't truly happy with the choice of husband her parents made for her. But at that moment, she had to accept it. Samia knew her parents wanted the best husband for her, but deep inside she felt that marriage to Shakil would make her unhappy. At the same time, she couldn't tell her family, fearing to upset them, so she made every effort to appear happy. In mid-February 2012, when Samia boarded a plane to fly to Pakistan, she wrote a message to a friend, admitting she was making the biggest mistake of her life and couldn't believe it was happening. Later, her sister Mitha disputed many of these claims. She said Samia had several marriage proposals to choose from, and that she chose Shakil herself. Yes, it was an arranged marriage, but not forced. And there is a big difference between arranged and forced marriages. When Samia first arrived in Pakistan to meet her future husband, Shakil, she wrote to her friends that she couldn't even look at him and was happy she didn't vomit at the sight of her fiancé. Samia and Shakil had a lavish wedding. Many guests from Bradford came to Pakistan to congratulate the young couple and celebrate the joyous event. On February 27, 2012, a 4-day ceremony began with over 1,000 guests. As a wedding gift, Muhammad gave the newlyweds their own house, next to the family home in Pandari. After the wedding, Samia and Shakil moved into this house and lived together as husband and wife. The young wife couldn't reconcile with the idea of changing her life and settling in this small village. Nevertheless, Samia lived in this house with her husband for 4 months before returning to Bradford in June 2012 without her husband. Shakil stayed in Pakistan, waiting for immigration documents. Samia returned to England to apply for a spousal visa for her husband so he could become a British citizen. But she was in no hurry. Samia and Shakil's wedding in Pakistan was a nikah ceremony, a formal marriage contract according to Muslim customs. According to Sharia principles, this is considered a registered marriage and implies an agreement between a man and a woman made before witnesses and a cleric. However, British law requires specific legal steps to recognize such a marriage. One of these is holding a civil ceremony in the UK and obtaining a marriage certificate legally confirming the marriage. Thus, the nikah was not considered a legal marriage in another country without official documentation. After returning to the UK, Samia's friends noticed she had changed and was acting differently. She clearly harbored resentment towards her parents. Samia became nervous and agitated when discussing her husband Shakil. She felt he was constantly watching her. Even though Samia was in another country, Shakil insisted she call him daily via Skype video chat and stay in touch most of the day. The young wife felt trapped and in August sent a voice message to a friend saying she wanted to die, hated her life, and no longer wanted to be Shakil's wife. On the other hand, her relatives claimed that Samia boasted to everyone in Bradford about her lavish wedding and said she was happy in her marriage. Otherwise, why would she voluntarily take a flight back to Pakistan to Shakil if she were unhappy? These differing accounts suggested that the marriage was not as smooth as it seemed. After living with her husband in Pakistan for 6 months, Samia returned to the UK. This time her friends saw the old Samia, cheerful, happy, smiling, and sociable. But there was a reason for this. The young woman told her friends she had met a man named Syed Mukhtar Kazim, whose friends called him Ali. Ali was also from Pakistan, but he had British citizenship and worked in Dubai. They initially met online and became friends. Then they met in person in London in October 2013 and immediately felt attracted to each other. Ali embodied everything Samia wanted in a man. He was loving, caring, and kind. He understood her perfectly, and his feelings were mutual. Everything in his life made sense when Samia was around. They knew they risked each other's lives by being together, but they felt their love was stronger than the hatred and threats they faced and worth fighting for. Samia told Ali about her current situation, how she married someone she considered her brother and who controlled her. Ali couldn't understand how a loving father could turn his own daughter into an object for sale or exchange. Samia knew she wanted to be with Ali, spend her life with him, have children, and grow old together. To do this, she needed to divorce Shakil. She couldn't divorce through a British court since their marriage was not registered under British law. Samia and Shakil married under Sharia law, so they had to divorce according to Muslim customs. In May 2014, Samia asked Shakil for a divorce, but he refused. Under Sharia principles, for a marriage to be valid, both the bride and groom must give mutual consent. If it is found that one of them agreed to the ceremony under any physical, financial, psychological, or emotional coercion, the marriage can be considered forced and annulled. Samia approached the Islamic Sharia Council of the UK. She also converted from Sunni to Shia Islam, Ali's branch of Islam. She then visited a mosque to speak with a cleric. Under oath, Samia told him her first marriage was forced, done without her free will, and under family pressure. After receiving this information, the cleric wrote to Samia's husband, asking for his version of events. But Shakil refused to discuss their marriage, leading Mr. Kazmi, who was handling the case, to declare Samia and Shakil's marriage invalid. Several friends were with Samia when she signed the divorce papers. At that time, her family did not even know this was happening. This was strange, considering she lived in her parents' home in Bradford. Soon, Samia and Ali planned and organized their own wedding day. They secretly married in September 2014 in Leeds, with only a few friends present to help the bride prepare for the ceremony of the two lovers. The nikah ceremony was conducted by the same cleric, Mr. Kazmi, who had granted her divorce from Shakil. Samia and Ali's wedding day was a joyful day. The bride confessed to a friend that she felt like a princess and was truly glowing with happiness. The newlyweds also registered their marriage at the UK Registry Office, but the wedding day did not mark the beginning of a peaceful family life with her beloved husband. Soon after, in October 2014, while walking down the street with her cousin, Samia was attacked in an alley by some men. Strangely, only Samia was harmed. She was beaten on the legs with metal rods. It was clear that the attack was planned in advance, and that the victim was not chosen at random. The girls immediately reported the attack and the injuries to the police. Samia's legs were covered in red and purple bruises. This attack was likely organized by people who knew her family and was likely due to her marriage to Ali. The secret was apparently out. At that time, her new husband had to return to Dubai for work, and his young wife stayed in Bradford, waiting for a visa to join him later. It seems the Shahid family learned of the attack on their daughter from a phone call when she called her parents from the police station. But instead of support, she faced a barrage of insults. The police heard the entire conversation, while Samia's mother, Imtiaz, was unaware that others were listening. Samia did this on purpose to show the police the toxic environment she had been living in recently. She felt like a prisoner in the house where she once was happy, enduring unpleasant words from the people she loved more than life. It was hard to live in a family with such strong beliefs and long-standing values. Sometimes, Samia felt suffocated by constant control and couldn't escape the web of imposed principles. She saw no way out until she met Ali. For Samia, who grew up in Western culture and relied on her parents for everything, another life seemed unrealistic, a life where she could make her own choices and decisions. The secret marriage to Ali gave her the strength to hold on and not give up. Her parents only learned of Samia's divorce from Shakil in May 2015 and strongly disapproved of her actions. At least until then, they hadn't voiced their suspicions aloud. They claimed the divorce was invalid, since the Islamic Sharia Council had no legal authority in either the UK or Pakistan. Therefore, according to them, Samia was still legally married to Shakil. Her mother voiced the most discontent. Imtiaz repeatedly insulted her daughter, telling her to come to her senses and not disgrace the family. When Ali returned to Dubai, he hoped things would calm down. However, the newlyweds knew they would never be safe if they stayed in Bradford. Family disapproval could lead to tragedy. There are many stories of honor-related crimes. Fortunately, Samia received a visa to go to Dubai that same month. A few friends helped her secretly buy a ticket and prepare for departure. As soon as the documents were ready, Samia boarded a plane and flew to Ali the next day. It was a difficult decision, considering how much she loved her family. But for the first time, she went against her loved ones for her happiness, hoping this sacrifice would be justified. As soon as Samia left for Dubai, her parents reported her as missing to the police. The family simply did not want to accept that she had made her own choice and ignored their opinions. When they learned of their daughter's secret marriage, they considered the second marriage fake. They went to the Shia mosque's cleric, Mr. Kazmi, demanding explanations. They refused to listen to any reasonable arguments and equated their daughter's relationship with Ali to adultery, believing that under Muslim law, she was still married to Shakil. The Shahid family even went so far as to threaten the cleric for aiding in Samia's sin. Mr. Kazmi notified the police of the threats, and the authorities gave him some safety advice. Meanwhile, Samia was incredibly happy in Dubai. She loved the carefree, free life filled with love. She drove, cooked, and was deeply in love with her husband, Ali. Samia shared her happiness openly on social media. They couldn't wait to become parents. Samia longed for a child and wanted to be a mother as soon as possible. At the same time, she couldn't let go of her family and wanted to exist in both worlds, in Bradford and Dubai. Samia always dreamed of raising her future children in the UK. She wanted them to become British. She had spent almost her entire conscious life in England, surrounded by her large family, and couldn't imagine that this tension between her and her loved ones would last for the rest of her life. Samia talked to her parents almost daily, trying to convince them she wasn't to blame and just wanted to be happy. Every minute of her marriage to Shakil was a burden. She wanted her parents to love Ali as much as she did and accept her choice. More than anything, Samia dreamed of seeing her father with Ali, but unfortunately, her dreams were not to come true. Instead, Chaudhry Muhammad called the fake son-in-law and asked him to leave his daughter alone. Naturally, Ali refused, saying that Samia was now his legal wife and he would not renounce her. In Muhammad's eyes, the new husband had not become part of the family, partly because he was not a Sunni Muslim. Also, their marriage was conducted secretly without parental approval. Family reputation and honor are highly important in some cultures. Ali and Samia, in the eyes of her parents and other relatives, had disrespected the Shahid family, and now everyone would point fingers at them. In June 2016, Samia learned that Shakil's mother, her aunt, had died. Samia was very upset. She loved her aunt and wanted to go to Pakistan for the funeral. But she knew the trip would be risky and dangerous, especially since many, including Shakil's relatives, felt she had disrespected them and brought shame to the family. Ali advised against the trip, and she agreed it was better to stay in Dubai. Her father, Muhammad, also struggled with health issues. He suffered from diabetes. One day, Samia received a call from her mother and sister, Meetha. They said that while in Pakistan, their father's health had significantly deteriorated, and he might not have much time left. Samia could never forgive herself if her father passed away without her saying goodbye. So after much consideration, she made the final decision to go to Pakistan. Ali disagreed with her choice. He was very upset, but felt helpless. After all, it was her father. How could he stop her? If something happened to Chaudhry Muhammad and she wasn't there, Samia would never forgive herself. Additionally, Meetha had already booked her a plane ticket. Thus, feeling immense fear for his wife, Ali still drove her to the airport. He said she could still change her mind. Excited about the upcoming reunion with her loved ones, whom she hadn't seen in a long time, Samia assured her husband that she would be fine. They said their goodbyes. Samia boarded the plane and on July 14, 2016, flew to Pakistan. Before her flight, she sent a message to a friend saying, "Pray that I return alive." Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like this video. It's really important. On her first night in Pakistan, Samia stayed at a friend's house. She left her documents and return ticket there for safekeeping. Throughout her stay, she stayed in constant contact with Ali, assuring him of her safety. She spent all her time in Pakistan with her family. On July 18th, she visited her aunt's grave with her father. On July 19th, Ali told her about a bad dream he had, to which she replied, asking him to pray for her safe return to Dubai. She was supposed to fly home in 2 days, but on July 20th, Samia stopped responding to messages. Ali's messages remained unread, and this silence worried him greatly. That evening, a distressed man called the Pandari police station, reporting his daughter's death. When the police arrived at the address, they found a woman's body at the bottom of the stairs. She was dead, and it was Samia. Her shoes were lying nearby, her handbag was at her feet, and her face was covered with a black scarf. Her eyes were closed, and foam was coming from her mouth. The caller identified himself as Samia's father, Muhammad. He told the officers that his daughter lived in this house with her husband, Shakil, and pointed to the stairs from which she had fallen and died. When the police asked where Shakil was, the father shrugged and said he didn't know. No one had seen him since Samia's death. A few hours later, Samia's mother and sister arrived in Pakistan, having heard of her death. An autopsy was immediately conducted, after which the young woman's body was handed over to her relatives. The Shahid family buried Samia the same day she died. Since the police report stated no injuries or visible signs of violence were found on the body, her death was not considered suspicious. Hasty burials are not unusual, as Muslim traditions and Sharia law require immediate burial if there is no dispute over the cause of death. News of Samia's death spread quickly, but reports were conflicting. Some said the young woman died of a heart attack or asthma attack, while others claimed she fell down the stairs and broke her neck. Local news agencies reported that Samia committed suicide due to severe depression over not having children, but her family denied this claim. Ali received a call from Samia's cousin, telling him she died of a heart attack. Ali didn't believe it at first, thinking it was a sick joke that they were just trying to keep her in Pakistan. He took the first flight to be with his wife. When he realized Samia was truly dead, he went to the Pandari police station and reported that his wife had been killed. Ali explained how Samia left her first husband, Shakil, and how her family was furious about it. His story clearly changed the police's perspective on Samia's death. They speculated it might have been an honor killing but could do nothing since the body had been buried. When news of the mysterious death of a young British woman spread in England, representatives of a news channel contacted Samia's father, Muhammad. In an interview, he insisted that his daughter was happy in her marriage and that her husband's name was Shakil. He completely denied the existence of Ali, calling him a blackmailer. Eventually, Ali received a copy of Samia's autopsy report. It stated that a reddish-brown bruise was found around her neck, and the cause of death was listed as strangulation. Male semen was also found inside her body. It is suspected that the police were initially bribed to conceal the true cause of Samia Shahid's death. Ali immediately held a press conference in Pakistan, showing the media photographs of the bruise on his wife's neck. He wanted what happened to Samia to be widely known, so he could find out how she died and who was responsible. Following this, Ali required 24-hour police protection as he began receiving numerous death threats. Samia's friends in the UK were also proactive. They contacted a member of parliament from Bradford, Naz Shah, through their acquaintances. The MP wrote directly to the Prime Minister of Pakistan, informing him of Samia's death and daring to call it an honor killing. Only then did Pakistani police begin a thorough investigation into Samia Shahid's death. Naz Shah's intervention had consequences. 2 people from Bradford were arrested for threatening the MP. 8 days after Shakil fled, he was found and brought in for questioning along with Samia's father, Chaudhry Muhammad. Shakil confessed that he wanted to force his wife to annul her marriage to Ali and stay with him in Pakistan. He was angry that she left him and prevented him from moving to the UK. On the morning of July 20th, he searched Samia's belongings for her passport and return ticket, but found nothing. Shakil tried to stop her from returning, but Samia refused. Enraged, he pushed her onto the bed and raped her. His semen was found inside her body. Samia then tried to escape the house where she felt trapped during their marriage. But her ex-husband caught up with her, wrapped her scarf around her neck, and squeezed it tightly. Her father denied any involvement. This time, the police didn't believe the story of a happy marriage. Investigators believed that both the Shahid and Shakil families disrespected Samia's attempt to divorce, marry another man who wasn't a Sunni Muslim, and escape with him to Dubai, thereby ruining Shakil's chances of moving to the UK and disgracing the family. To them, a woman's desire to live her own life was an unimaginable luxury and a betrayal of the family. When Samia tried to escape from her first husband, she ran into her father, who nodded to Shakil in approval. While Shakil strangled her, Mohammed held his daughter's legs. Then Shakil fled, and her father tried to cover up the crime as an accident. The problem was the lack of evidence. Although Samia's death was ruled a homicide, it was impossible to prove who killed her. In September 2018, after 2 years in custody, Shakil was released on bail. Despite his police confession, it was insufficient for conviction in Pakistan. In 2019, he remarried a British Pakistani woman and applied for a spousal visa to enter the UK, as this was his ultimate goal. However, MP Naz Shah ensured his visa application was denied. After 4 months in prison, Chaudhry Muhammad Shahid, Samia's father, appealed to the Supreme Court and was released due to insufficient evidence. The court found the evidence inadequate to hold him in custody. In January 2018, he was hospitalized for kidney failure and died in a Lahore hospital at 52. In October 2016, arrest warrants were issued for Samia's mother and sister, but they managed to return to the UK. From there, Meeta gave a completely different version of events. She claimed their family was free, and their parents never forced them into anything. Instead, Samia often complained to her about life with Ali, saying he took all her money and she lived in hardship in Dubai. She even sent photos showing her life far from luxurious. It seemed Samia had a different vision of her life in Dubai. Meeta believed these accusations destroyed their family, tarnished their reputation, and left them in poverty due to false claims. Regardless, it does not change the tragic fact that a young woman was sent to her death at the peak of her life by those she trusted and loved. Samia Shahid deserved the chance to make her own choices, whether she made mistakes or not. No one has the right to take someone else's life. It's just a pity that the men of the Shahid family never understood this. This is the end of the story. Like the video and leave your thoughts in the comments. This was Jeremy. See you soon.